chosen.
Chosen for what?
Then the Dark Angel consummates your flesh as this human body before midnight on New Year's Eve. Then he unlocks the gate of hell.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 1999 Arnold Schwarzenegger horror End of Days, a film that is directed by Peter Hyams, who's one of my favourite and I think most underrated directors out there. Obviously stars Arnold Schwarzenegger. We have Gabriel Byrne, Robin Tunney and Kevin Pollak. Right, the film focuses on Arnold Schwarzenegger's character called Jericho, who is an ex-police officer who some years previously lost his wife and daughter. And he is now working for a security firm. It is coming up to the end of the millennium, the end of 1999, New Year's Eve, and there is a prophecy that Satan will return every 1,000 years and try and conceive with a woman who has been chosen for him at birth. And if he manages to conceive with her before the bell sounds on New Year's Eve, the end of days will begin, the apocalypse, and basically not nice things are going to happen if he manages to get his end away with Robin Tunney, is what I'm trying to say. And it is up to Arnold Schwarzenegger to put a stop to the devil. Right, I thought that I would revisit some of Arnie's films. Now, I'm putting these kind of as, I'm calling them classic Arnold Schwarzenegger reviews. Now, this is not me saying that some of these reviews that I'm going to be doing of Arnie's, it's a stretch to call them classics, is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to be subtle about it. I mean, obviously, he does have a long list of what you could rightly regard as classics in his catalogue, Arnie. There's Conan, you've got Predator, you've got Terminator, Total Recall, Terminator 2. There's quite a long list of Arnie films that you could call classics. Classics of the genre, certainly. But I wanted to revisit, other films as well. And this is one of them, End of Days. So this is not me saying this is a classic film, because I don't think it is. I think it's a decent film. And it's one of those that kind of, I think, sticks out in Arnold's filmography, because he hasn't done, well, certainly up to the point of doing this, he hadn't really done like a straight horror before. So it was a risk. And this film actually was the first film that he did after his heart surgery in 1997, if you remember that. I think it was after Batman and Robin. He had heart surgery, so nobody was offering him roles for a small period in his acting time. And when he did this film, I remember reading this in his autobiography as well, that like the insurance guys were panicking, so they were like, for the first week on set, the insurance guys were there because they were worried he couldn't do the action scenes anymore since his surgery and all this kind of stuff, and it was hard to get insurance. But they soon realised that it was Arnie. He was doing everything he should do. There were no problems. There were no issues. He was fit and healthy, and they soon backed off. But I think it was quite a strange period, I think, for Arnie after Batman and Robin. For a number of years, certainly the late 90s and the early 90s, until he went into his political career, there's a series of films that you couldn't really describe as, they wouldn't even crack his top 10 really of his best films, many of them certainly that he did in that period. We're talking about things obviously like this, Collateral Damage, Terminator 3, things like that. They're not brilliant films, watchable films. But I remember when it came out, I was a huge Arnie fan at the time. To be fair, I still am. I still really enjoy and respect his movies. And I really enjoyed this the first time I saw it. Now, prep for this review, I watched it with eyes almost, like as to try, because I've got to critique it. And it does, a lot of it doesn't actually stand up. If I'm being honest, it's that whole sequence at the beginning with the helicopter. It's New York, isn't it? With this bloody helicopter chasing that priest, and it was tosh. It just did not make any sense at all. And I suspect they put that in to kind of, generate a bit of action. And those scenes with him firing him at Satan and stuff like that, it was almost like, well, we've got Arnie in a film here. How is he going to fight Satan? I know, we'll give him a rocket launcher. No. And then eventually bested Satan. He didn't have a gun. He dropped his weapons. He realised faith was the way and all this kind of stuff. But I think it was a mistake almost to kind of give him the heavy weaponry and stuff in these films. Yes, give it. He's used to using weapons. He's a man of action and all that kind of stuff. And then to kind of maybe for him to move on and try and be smarter about it. I did like how they got characters in the film to turn against Arnold by Satan basically seducing them to do his bidding by basically saying, look, you're dead, but if you do what I say, you can live. And he does that with that cop woman and the Kevin Pollak character, which I thought was pretty good. There was a couple of nice twists there with it. A couple of beyond cringy, I don't know what, I can't even call them sexy scenes. There's that scene when he first turns into Satan, Gabriel Byrne, in the restaurant, and then he goes and gropes that woman at the table. It's awful. That's awful. I know he's Satan, he's evil, but at the same time, it's not pleasant, that. And that sex scene, awful sex scene where he's making love to, well, it's not making love, to that woman and the daughter. Awful. There's quite a bit that didn't need to be in this film, I think. And you could probably a lot of it is because of it's a film of the 90s, and it does scream out at you at times. But there are other parts in the film that I just thought were really good and very dark. The stuff with Rod Steiger was very good. He was pretty good here in the film, Rod Steiger. That was pretty dark, the stuff in the alleyway when he's having that fight with that crowd of people and he gets crucified is pretty dark, but it works. The bit when they're investigating, the priest that he shoots at the beginning of the film was pretty good. There's the bit with Gabriel Byrne where he confronts that priest and sticks him to the ceiling. I mean, it's very Exorcist 3, but that's good. And Gabriel Byrne, he knows what film is in here. He's chewing up every bit of scenery that he's in, is Gabriel Byrne. He's menacing. He's no patience. The kid on the skateboard, when he skateboards past him, knocks him off. And he's got, is it Satan Rules or something t-shirt on? That scene was quite nice with Gabriel Byrne. So Gabriel Byrne kind of plays this Satan, but his tongue firmly in his cheek. So there are some good moments here in this film. It's not a massive failure or anything like that. But I think if it was remade today, it would probably be remade better today. Well, actually, let's be honest. Would it be remade better today? That's a bold statement, isn't it, with the state of how a lot of people are making films these days. Yeah, it's a curious Arnie film in his catalogue. And curiously as well, Arnold actually thought the film was too dark, quite literally too dark, not the content of the film. He commented he thought the lighting was just too dark for much of the film, and I do agree with him. It is too dark at times, this film. And interestingly as well, Tom Cruise, this part was written for Tom Cruise, the Jericho part. And he couldn't do it, or he didn't want to do it. He went on to do Magnolia, I think it was, something like that, which was quite interesting. But I think, for me, Peter Hyams is one of the most reliable directors. You just look at his film catalogue, and I guarantee you, the majority of the films in his catalogue, you'll have seen so many of them and probably not realised and thought, oh, I like that film, I like that film, I like that film. You'll list at least half a dozen films of Peter Hyams that you didn't know he even directed, that you actually really quite enjoy. So I understand why Peter Hyams was given this film, because he's an industry veteran. He knows what he's doing, and he delivers a solid film in many, many ways. It's just a bit cheesy and corny at times, and some of the dialogue is misplaced and all this kind of stuff. But it's an interesting, curious film in Arnold's catalogue. He hasn't done a lot of horrors over the years, and it does kind of work. And he's actually pretty decent in it, Arnold. There's a scene where he has to emote in it. I remember at the time the scene where he's remembering his wife and his daughter, and he's quite tearful and stuff like that. I remember it. At the time, it was being reported on and stuff that, Arnold's crying in a film and this kind of stuff, and he doesn't really cry, but it is nice to see him, doing something a little bit darker. He's not full of one-liners and things like that. He's quite a dark, serious character who essentially is contemplating suicide for the early parts of the film. He's completely lost his faith in God. And the absolute highlight of this film for me, completely the highlight of this film, is his confrontation with Gabriel Byrne when he goes to his apartment. Gabriel Byrne as Satan, and offers him the world, and Arnold basically kicks off with him. It's a really good one-on-one, and it's the real highlight of the film for me. So check out End of Days if you've never seen it. It is worth checking out. It's a curious, interesting film. It's nothing major, it's nothing special, but it is certainly worth checking out. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll be back with loads more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon. Let me know as well, guys, in the comments what Arnie film you want me to see me do next. I have reviewed a couple of Arnie films already on the channel, probably more than a couple. I know I've done Predator and I've done Terminator, and I've probably done more as well. But let me know in the comments if there's an Arnie film you want me to cover, and I will certainly get to it. So thanks, everybody. I'll see you on the next review.